Good morning. Good morning, class.
Good morning too. Good morning too.
Are we in?
Yes.
Let's get ready to start the class.
Okay.
So last time we looked at budgeting, and we did see what national budgets are all about. We did see.
Sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Are we ready for class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's proceed. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we wish to proceed briefly and look at taxation, because in our discussion under public finance, we saw that the main source of income for public funds is none other than the tax. We did describe a tax and defined it as contribute towards the support of your government, and it's mandatory that you must do that. To this end, therefore, a tax has two main characteristics. One, it's compulsory. Everybody must pay. So you must pay irrespective of who you are, what you are, and what you stand for as a citizen of the country. And number two is that there is no direct benefit upon payment of the tax. Meaning that even if you paid 1 million, you don't claim for services, neither goods, that are worth 1 million. Because a tax is like pulling together. We pull together funds so that we spend from the same pool. Remember, the functions of the government: administrative, social, development, and protective. For the government to perform those functions, it must generate funds. So these funds weren't generated through maybe tax and other forms that we looked at, like fees, prices, state property, name them. They are spent based on the public expenditure principles that we looked at. Principle of surplus, principle of economy, sound financial administration, and the like. So you don't deserve to claim. Therefore, despite this tax being compulsory that you must pay, you have no right to demand for the services as an individual. Tax, therefore, being pulled together, is spent for what is common and what benefits all of us as provided for under principles of public expenditure. Now, having understood what tax is all about, what are the major types of tax that exist? Ordinarily, there are various types of taxes, and these taxes are imposed at different times. The main form of tax is what we call the income tax. Income tax is that tax that is imposed on the incomes of individuals. What are the incomes of individuals? We alluded to this. If you earn a salary, if you have allowances, and the like, what you earn out of your work. Then corporate tax. This is what is imposed on profits. of corporate limited companies. Corporate limited companies, these are companies that do business. Sales tax, this is what is imposed on the sale of commodities given to businessmen. Excise tax is imposed on the production. Look at the industrial production, like Nzoya, Mumias, Vipingo, name them. What is given as their contribution in form of tax, which is compulsory for doing business for production purposes. That is what constitutes the excise tax. We have custom duty. This deals with imports and exports of commodities. When you import, when you export, you pay to the government. We have ad valorem tax, which is given on certain commodities. We have value-added tax, which is added onto the prices of certain commodities, and the like. So read widely about these forms of taxes. Now, as we did see under public finance, taxation is also guided by certain principles. There are about 9 principles, but the first 4 are what was given by the economist called Adam Smith. These principles guide the execution of the tax provisions. Number 1 is the principle of equality. As equality states, we must be very fair to everybody. We must distribute it evenly. And therefore, this principle postulates that every individual or subject of a country ought to contribute towards the support of the government in proportion of their respective abilities. Remember, we said it is compulsory. So you must contribute. So if equality principle applies, then you contribute to the basis or the basics of your respective ability, implying that the more you have, the more you must contribute. In implying individuals must therefore contribute based on what they have as their abilities and not just what they ought to. The more you have, the more you must contribute. Principle of certainty, that the contribution must be certain. What you ought to pay ought to be certain, and it's not arbitrary. That we have tax provisions that spell out how much are you supposed to pay. It's not by guesswork. So a good tax system, a proper system, is such that you know your tax obligation. If you are going to buy a commodity in the supermarket, already value-added tax is included in the price. If you are earning a salary, the implication is how much you earn is already provided for how much you be. So certainty deals with being or paying the tax. You are certain of how much you will pay. If you have we have the principle of convenience. This postulates that what you are supposed to pay should be such that the time of payment and the method of payment are known. They should be convenient to you as the taxpayer as much as possible. So with the convenience, it should be convenient to you as a taxpayer as much as possible, such that when do you pay, which method are you using? Take, for example, when you buy commodities, value-added tax is already included. So it's convenient to you as you are paying the price of a commodity, it's already included. When you earn salary at the end of the month, already the tax computation is done at source. Very convenient for you, the government. So we need to understand that This payment should be as regular as possible. And the prices, as I've said, as long as they are. So taxation is convenient because it is done at source, at the time of buying, at the time of earning, at the time of execution. And number 4 is the principle of economy. This principle postulates that there is always a cost of production, and there is therefore a cost of tax collection. That this tax should be as minimum as possible, should be kept at its lowest, so that as you pay, as usual, the internet is fluctuating. If you spend 10 shillings to collect 100, then you have 90 shillings that you are collected. If you spend 150 shillings to collect 100, then you are spending more than what you are collecting. So this negates the principle of economy, that we should always spend less, but collect more. That's how we generate revenue to the government. It is in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, that these 4 are the key principles of taxation. The subsequent ones are generated from this. They explain this. Otherwise, these 4, as given by Adam Smith, are the key principles of taxation. So looking at the others that we are now going to look at, they explain and expound on this. One, the 5th principle is productivity, which says that the tax system should be able to yield enough revenue. And this is arising from the principle of economy. You must yield enough revenue for the government so that you avoid deficit financing. Deficit financing means you spend more than what you are collecting. So that way you will not be generating funds. And therefore, we should always provide sufficient funds for the government to mitigate any deficits in its revenue. The principle of buoyancy states that, hello? The principle of buoyancy states that whenever there is an increase in income, there should be a proportionate increase in the tax revenue. Meaning, if they increase salaries of citizens or employees by 10 shillings, there should be a proportionate increase in terms of the tax revenue to the government. For every shilling they add you, the government must have a proportionate increase in its revenue. The tendency of the tax revenue to increase with the national income, this is what we call buoyancy. Even if you don't increase the people paying, even if you don't increase the tax rates, but that inherent ability of the tax revenue to increase with income is what we are referring to as buoyancy. So it should have that inbuilt mechanism so that any increase in terms of the revenues of individuals, the incomes of individuals, translates into a proportionate increase in terms of the revenue to the government. Flexibility, on the other hand, suggests that authorities or the government, for that matter, should be able to revise the tax structure. When we talk about tax structure, we are looking at how many people are covered to pay tax. What are the tax rates? What methods are they using? The convenience that we looked at. So that it suits the changing times and the requirements of the economy. Look at during COVID, tax rates were revised. The coverage was the same. After that, what happened? They were revised and now even increased to 35% at the maximum, as we shall see under computations. So this ability to suit the changing requirements of the economy. Remember what the Gen Z went on riots. What tax measures were being implemented by the government? These are the issues. So it is the principle of flexibility that gives authority power to revise the coverage and the rates so that it suits the changing times of the economy. Today, when Ruto came in power, taxes increased. But now they are coming down. Look at the prices of fuel. The taxes on fuel, they are coming down. And diesel to reduce by 4 shillings is not easy. The taxes have been reduced. Then simplicity. That tax policies should be simple for people to understand and easy for the government to administer. Anything that is complex brings complexities in terms of execution. So a good tax policy must be simple for people to understand and for the government to execute. I don't know to what end are we able to understand the simplicity of our tax laws. Then finally, we have diversity principle, which states that there must be different types of taxes so that we diversify the tax burden, so that it's on different groups of people. Now, diversity, if we diversify, remember when all of us go to the supermarket, we are paying tax. If I'm earning an income, I'm paying tax. But somebody who doesn't earn an income is not paying the income tax. That's what the diversity is all about. If you go spending on leisure, you pay. But if you don't spend on leisure, you don't pay. That's the diversity. Meaning that diversity is intended to ensure that every person contributes. You give your mother 5,000 shillings. That's taken to be her income. It's not a salary. She doesn't pay income tax. But when she goes to spend, she is paying value-added tax on the commodities. So that is the diversity, which everybody's paying. So every person must contribute towards the government revenue through the payment of tax. So there are various forms of taxes, various types. So at least people are paying in different categories, in different types, where
Kwani data inaisha?
Bana lecturer anatumia mazee free mode.
Be careful, Clinton and Innocent. Be careful with your words. We're not here for entertainment. Be careful with what you are saying.
Magdi, we will deal with them at the right time.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. Ukicheza na moto niliwaambia siku ile utachomeka. And since you burn your fingers, you'll never know. We are not here for jokes. Yes, I might be using free mode, so what? I'm in class, I'm doing my work. At the end of the month, next week, I'll be earning and I'll be paying.
Doc, you can unmute if you are ready.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are now getting you.
Yeah, so I was saying that February is ending. I'll be earning my salary. I'll be paying income tax. I go to spend. I'll be spending on other items. I'll also be paying that. So it's a variety, and that's what diversity is all about. So with that, that gives us the 9 principles of taxation. The first 4 were given by Adam Smith. So looking at all this, what is it that we say is a good tax system? A good tax system is that which meets most of these principles of taxation. That a system that complies to these principles, that is the best, and that is the system that best describes a formidable tax system. We must, however, note that in developing countries such as Kenya, the percentage of tax revenue in relation to the gross domestic product, remember what we talked about as gross domestic product, is less compared to those other countries like Singapore, US, UK, and the like. Why is this the case? That despite us observing these tax principles, our tax revenue still remains to be less than the gross domestic product, especially in countries like Kenya. The basic reason is that in such a countries like Kenya, we have very high tax rates. These high tax rates are intended by governments to raise more funds to mitigate their deficits, meaning that we are heavily taxed, and as a result, we resort to ways of evading and avoiding to pay tax. We look at the premium. I'm supposed to pay 100 million for tax. But if I have a way out, I can pay 10 and escape with the 90. That's what we are referring to as tax evasion and tax avoidance. These two things are normally confusing, but I want to make them very clear. When you avoid, that's a deliberate, and that is unlawful. When you evade, then you are using the shortfalls in the system to circumvent the system so that you don't pay your tax obligation. So that's the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. We evade paying tax by capitalizing on existing loopholes in the system. So if we capitalize on the loopholes, so that's illegal. But evasion is illegal. Unakataa tu because you have refused. So what is this that gives rise to tax evasion? Evasion, we fail to meet our tax liability, tax obligation by capitalizing on certain shortfalls, as I've said. What are some of these shortfalls, loopholes that exist? One is information gap. We keep inappropriate records. Those businesses conceal the true factual evidence of their businesses. You find a business Trading in electronics. They have the big electronic 3CD changers and what have you hidden behind the shelves. But what is exposed at the front shelf are just simple electronics. In their records, they maintain for those simple electronics. So such businesses pretend to be running small businesses in order to pay less tax when they are running big businesses. This information gap creates a loophole. Number two, we talked of simplicity as a principle, where the tax laws must be simple for people to understand and easy for the government to administer. How many of us understand the tax principles? How many of us understand under what circumstances do we give exemptions for tax payment? It's just that the tax laws are still complicated. They are not as simple as they ought to be. How do we make provisions for tax discounts? Who qualifies for tax discounts? And this, if you look at it, the restructuring of those tax discounts, which come in various forms, like the value-added tax. Which items attract value-added tax? Which items do not attract? You and me don't know. But next time you go to the supermarket, read through your slip, then you will see VAT, vegetable items indicated. Are you sure those are the items? Or the scrupulous businesses have included? So, this process of rationalization of commodities makes it difficult to tell who to give the tax discount, at what time, and which items attract the value-added tax in their price of commodities. It's not clearly understood, therefore, and hence creates a loophole. Concealment of true ownership. Many of us have invested in other people's names. Some of you are victims. You go to your account, you have millions of money, yet you are just 20 or 17. Where did you get that money? These are proceeds of fraud. You own properties. How did you own property at this age of 18, 20 years? This must be proceeds. So people are investing in other people's names. If I'm the vice chancellor of Kibabi University, I'm building these affordable houses. The contractor gives me 10% kickback. Where do I put it? Because I'm supposed to declare my wealth. I invest in Mutoto wa Mjomba. I invest in my son. I invest in my daughter or another relative. This is the opportunity that exists. This is the loophole that exists. It makes it difficult for one to trace the source of such funds for investments. And with that, therefore, you are not able to pay the tax as required. And this loophole creates an opportunity for tax evasion. Then we have imperfect tax administration. We are all human beings. And as human beings, we are amenable to temptations. That if a taxman came, he has the daughter or son sent away for fees. I give him 10,000. Then he says, okay, wacha hii tutatengeneza. The accountants, for that matter, even those in this class, you are the people abetting this. That you make records and clear records so that they look so good, yet you know what you are concealing, the truth you are concealing. Because you are not different. 100,000. And as long as these donations to political parties, non-government organizations, the churches, we steal in the name of God. We conceal in the name of God. You are bringing in Mutumba, saying that it's for the vulnerable. It gets to Kenya tax-free, then it lands into the Mutumba market. Stealing in the name of non-government organizations. Donations to political parties. See what the fights are there. Because each political party is supposed to generate funds. They get donations from outside, grants in aid. They get government support as per the constitution. When this money gets there, who knows how the money is spent? This income to those political parties, to those non-government organizations. They are normally not taxed, yet it's income. Their accounts and those of high-profile personalities are not audited. Simply, if you pledge loyalty and say Ruto Tosha, Ruto Tutam, there is a tendency of being exempted from tax. That exemption is what creates a loophole. That loophole is what we are referring to as tax evasion. So these are the 5 sources of opportunities for tax evasion. These are the 5 loopholes that may exist in a tax system. But then, how do we go about them? How do we go resolving and fixing them? That is the solution. As we look at this, ladies and gentlemen, look at our country, Kenya. How many of those principles of taxation are we meeting? How many opportunities of tax evasion exist? And how is the government dealing with how to fix those tax evasion loopholes? That's the way we should understand taxation. So as we look at those loopholes, I want you to understand and reflect which ones have been implemented. As we look at these opportunities, these loopholes, which ones exist? I've tried to simplify this to our level. Complicated tax laws, concealment of true ownership, people investing in others. You know some of them, and you are beneficiaries of the same. Issues of tax evasion. Wangapi wameshikwa? Tax officers. Wangapi wamefukuzwa kazi? We know that. Political what income tax is and put appropriate tax laws. That is a must. When you say income, what is it that you mean by income? If it's all that you receive in terms of the monetary value, let that be, so that we clearly understand that any tax is taxed. That we must reduce incentives for tax evasion and put obstacles. How do we do this? There are several ways we can do this. We can lower the tax rates. So if we lower the tax rates, what happens? People will earn more. And if you earn more, you will be taxed more. That is the law. Buoyancy principle. That we can supplement this income tax by other forms of taxes. Suppose we now say, we give you all your income, But now we tax you on expenditure when you are going to spend. Suppose we say that you earn all your income, but you only tax you at the end of the year for 12 months. That 1 month is dedicated to tax. So you work for 12 months, you are paid for 11 months. The 12th month is paid to the government for tax. Is that possible? This solution that we must have comprehensive returns on personal accounts. And we created the Kenya government on this. That each individual these days has comprehensive return on personal accounts. That's why you must file your tax returns. You are filing tax returns every year because of this, so that we see your dealings. The Kenya Revenue Authority must see your dealings for the last 1 year. How your money came in, how your money went out, how you spent. Even if, as long as you are 18 years, you have an ID, you must have to file those returns. It doesn't matter with the student. Then this is in line with number 4, compulsory auditing of accounts of high-income taxpayers and assigning code numbers for each. You have been assigned a code number. This is what comes in terms of personal identification number, the KRA PIN number. This is what the government has done. That once you have an ID for anything to transact, even for you to apply for scholarship and help, you must have the PIN number. For KRA, you must declare. You must file returns. This is what we have done, so that we catch. And if you don't file, there's a penalty that you must pay. That this opportunity of political parties and other non-government organizations, we must audit their funds. Where are their funds coming from? We must have them report their financial dealings. We make it compulsory so that we know where they are getting money. So that what comes in terms of aid must be for aid, not to land into the market. That the penalty for tax evasion should be made more punitive. Now, how should we make this? It should be related to the tax saved rather than the income concealed. That's how to make it more punitive. That we must deter people from evading. Deter this. If you are caught to have evaded, you pay, and you pay punitively. That is key. You go in, they seize your properties, and what have you. So that penalty must in fact be increased. Then we have this animal we call bracket creeping. Bracket creeping means that when there is inflation deals with the increase in price. We shall look at index numbers. That when there is inflation, the tendency of prices of commodities to go high, we need to cushion the citizens. How do you cushion the citizens? We cushion them by paying them more salaries. And when you pay more salaries, people earn more, they pay more tax. The boy has a property. The inherent ability of the tax revenue to increase with the national income. So, bracket creeping is something that you need to pay attention to. And we play with it such that when there is inflation, increase in prices, we increase the prices of incomes of people a little bit. They will still pay more. Then it means when they go down, we can proportionately also reduce for them to enjoy. And most importantly, this is what the government of Kenya has also done. Adjusting the tax brackets. They did it during COVID. They did it after COVID. And Ruto has also done it. We don't know in the next financial year, which of 2026, 2027, beginning 1st of July, if they are also going to adjust those tax brackets. That is what it is, and that is what we are talking about. These are the remedial measures, some of them that we can use to do tax evasion and tax avoidance. So, with this in mind, can we have a discussion before we proceed to start looking at the calculations, if any? Comments from the class? Or questions? If your hand is up, you proceed to talk.
Okay, like I was asking this, there are some
Yes.
companies that have gone for like 5 years without paying tax, and when you see that there's a new government that comes in, you see that some of the things are forgiven, and the taxes they are supposed to pay are zinatupiliwa mbali. So hapo, is it lawful?
That's a very good observation. And that's what I've asked that you evaluate our own country to see. You see, this is what I've talked about as a loophole. Look at that loophole number 5. What did it say? If you pledge loyalty to the ruling party, look at number 5, donations to political parties. If you pledge your loyalty to the ruling party as a businessman, what is the reward? When you say, Ruto, tano fresh, Ruto, 2-term, Ruto, wewe tosha, what is the reward? That's what happens. And it's not just that company, there are several. I want to refer back when Kileme Mwiria was the minister. Sorry for those who are for him. Kileme Mwiria is my personal friend. Mwiraria, sorry, not Kileme Mwiria, Mwiraria. What happened? He gave tax discounts to Njeru Ndwiga's company. These are our 2 colleagues in the cabinet. When it was realized, there was a public uproar on the same. Remember the JJ Kamoto of those days, when he could kneel before the then president Daniel Toroitich arap Moi and say, ni wewe baba, kila kitu nasema ni sawa baba, ile kitu napea mtoto ni sawa, inatosha. Hata kiatu ikiwa kubwa mtoto atavaa, hata ikiwa ndogo atatembea, hata kilimpu atatembea, inatosha baba. That's why he was the lifetime Secretary General of KANU of those days. So, what happens? If you pledge your
Sina ziraendeleanga.
Aliongea kwa Kiswahili. Anakataza kwenye kuna hapa sana.
Iko class niisha. KUC pero
Bluetooth mode. Power on. FM mode. Bluetooth.
Lecturer.
can you please have an
Bluetooth mode.
Lo siganon. Ah, jalan Gerard.
Mami, sini dulu.
Nanu ni yang jalir yo.
Nanu wenja laira.
Hello? Yeah, my internet put me off.
Welcome back.
But I think I'm back. So I was responding to the concerns of one of you that there are companies that don't pay tax given the different regimes of the government. And I was saying that this is as a result of their loyalty to the ruling. There are those who know how to position themselves, even if there is a regime change, they also change with the changing times. And so that they pledge loyalty for purposes of tax evasion. And this is one of the loopholes that we are looking at. And number 5, donations to political parties, because they know how to align themselves. And you can look at Brother Twoli when he said that it's Raila Tosha. But when Ruto passed, he changed his tune and was now praising Ruto. You can see how it is. And now he says Ruto Tosha. So those are the political gimmicks for political survival. That's how I can put it. So we can have another Punzan.
Hello,
Another
Doc.
concern?
Hello.
Please proceed.
Do the police and the KDF also pay tax?
Of course, yes. Tax is paid by everybody, especially the income tax. That's compulsory. A tax is compulsory. That's a key thing. A compulsory contribution that is imposed on individuals. So whether it's a police officer, whether it's a president, an MP, they pay tax. Even that mama mboga pays tax. Hizo risiti analipa pale wakikata ya county government, that's a form of tax. When you go to the shop and you are buying items, you pay tax, what we refer to as the value added tax. So everybody pays tax. I'm looking at the questions.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, please.
You said that under the principle of diversity,
Yes.
you are going to earn and you will be taxed. So you are going to have income tax and also a VAT. That is now the concept of double taxing. Is it not a burden to you?
It's not the concept of double taxing. It will not. We have different types of taxes. And these taxes are applied within the country. So where you fall, you pay that tax. It's an obligation that you pay. If you are earning a salary, you pay tax on that salary. On buying items or commodities in a supermarket, there is that corporate tax which is normally transferred, or sales tax transferred to the customer. Issues of value added tax, it's added on certain commodities. So you pay 16% included in the price. So if you use that commodity,
Kijana toa sura. Kijana toa sura.
Unaonekana. Unaona video hii?
Kijana toa sura.
this internet is really chaotic. Because it's on, off, on, off. So I was responding by saying that you pay tax where you qualify. If you are not employed, you don't pay income tax. If you don't do business of importing and exporting, you don't pay excise duty. If you use Kumawiki every day in your farm, you don't pay any form of tax. That's what we are saying. So it's not double taxation. Frederick Maturu?
Yes, Doc, I was asking a question under tax evasion. In
Yes.
the fall of the tax evasion under concealment of the true ownership. Now my question is, how
Yes.
effective are the beneficial ownership registers in combating financial crimes?
How effective is?
Are beneficial ownership registers in combating financial crimes?
Tax evasion is a financial crime in itself. So when you evade, we say you are capitalizing on the existing shortfalls in the system. So if you are a beneficiary of the same, so in fact you are a criminal. That's what how it should be put plainly. If you are a first year and you are owning properties, what was the source? That's a crime. You are benefiting from the proceeds of fraud. So, coming to tax evasion, concealment of property. This is arising as a result of proceeds that come from evasion. And therefore, when they are registered under your name, there should be measures to look at it and see, are you worth what the property you are? That's why at the end of every 2 years, we are filling forms as employees to declare our wealth declaration forms. That's why at the end of every year, you are filing returns in terms of the tax returns by KRA. As long as you have an ID, you should have a personal identification number. And you must file that number, the returns, If you are a student, it said you filed 00. And now the rumor is you should not file 00. So the law is catching up. That is what we are talking about. Another person?
Like,
Hello, Doc.
how is that possible? Hello, Doc.
Yes. How is that possible?
How is that when I have wealth at this age, is that like it's a fraud? What if the source is from maybe a parent and the wealth have been transferred into your name?
That's why you are supposed to explain. You explain your source. If it's inheritance, is it as a result of succession?
Oh.
But if I'm your father and I've stolen money from Kibabi University and concealed it and invested it in your name, we should check.
Yeah.
What's the source?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We are now moving to an era where those earning 30,000 won't be paying per year. How is that approach going to affect Kenyan taxation methods and the impact on the Kenya's economy? A very good question. When we increase that, this is what we talked about adjusting the tax brackets. So if they increase to 30,000, they are making many people not to pay tax, especially the low income earners, and this gives them more disposable income to spend. So by increasing to 30,000 as the minimum, most people will have more to spend. And therefore, there will be more cash flow in the market. People will spend more. However, the implication on the tax revenue to the government, it will be reduced. Meaning, there will be other forms. Now, when I start explaining, this internet goes off. When I start explaining, this internet goes off. What is the problem? Magdi, what's the problem with this internet today? When I start explaining, it goes off.
You are using your personal internet or at campus?
I'm on campus. I'm using the one for Zoe. But my phone is also on, so they seem to be dripping.
Okay, maybe we shall have a look at it.
Maybe you can check it next time. We'll be in the boardroom. We'll check and see.
Sure.
Because I'm just in the office.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we increase to 30, we want people to earn more. And if you earn more, you will be spending more. So when you spend on terms of expenditure, you will be now understanding and paying other forms of taxes, which are not necessarily income tax. You will go and pay VAT. You will want to buy 1, 2, 3 things. Then you will pay. So that is the implication. That was something from Samsung. What are some of the methods that are used by KRA to take tax evasion? Of course, one is through market surveys. 2, we have those fire tax returns. 3, we have the intelligence. Those are there for us to follow and get information. I ran through, sir. We are now moving towards that repeated. Please don't send repeated questions. What about transactions? Is it a form of tax? Which transactions? Make your question clear. You moved to 30,000. You have sent too many. If tax is being taxed to everyone now, does the government pay tax? So how can the government pay tax to itself?
Doc, another question.
That is not possible. Yes?
Doc, okay. What if you give...
Please talk.
Hello, Doc. Are you getting me?
I'm waiting for you to talk.
Okay. What if you give wrong information about your wealth? Is it noticeable?
What did we talk about the first loophole? Information gap, where you are giving improper records, misinformation. That falls under
Yeah.
information gap, where you are maintaining wrong records. Remember, I gave an example of an electronic shop which has five CD changers hidden behind. But in front here, they are only giving the simple electronics. That's where it falls. Information gap, maintaining wrong accounts, and therefore portraying that they are running small businesses, yet they are huge businesses in themselves. That's where it falls.
Yes. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
What are the actions taken by the government for those individuals running away from paying tax?
What are
the actions taken by the government for those individuals running away from paying tax?
Check the remedial measures that we have looked at. What have we said? You cannot run away. We'll catch up with you as long as you have a PIN number. You must file those returns. If you don't file, they look for you. And when they catch up with you, it's punitive. You pay and pay penalties. So you cannot run away. The government is closing up with tax evasion.
Is it a must?
More questions?
Hello, Doc.
Is e-citizen service part of a government taxation channel? This is just a mode of transaction.
Hey,
So it
Doc,
cannot
hey.
be taken to be taxation. And the government cannot tax itself, tax its citizens. Can this lead to inflation in the country? What can lead to inflation? More money is circulating in the economy. It's controlled, Buana.
Inflation, more money is circulating in the economy.
What is in the inflation is controlled. Does KRA itself pay tax? KRA is a corporate body. But
Yeah,
those who
no.
work there pay.
Sure.
Corporate bodies is like saying, does Kibabi University pay? Kibabi University does not pay. If it pays corporate tax. It collects tax on behalf of the government, on behalf of KRA, for its employees and those it's trading with. So the same way, Kibabi University will tax us, who are employees, for and on behalf of the government. KRA, as a corporate body, receives all the tax. And it also taxes its employees and those it is transacting with. Sawa?
Doc, my question now.
Yes.
My question was about these remedial measures to tax evasion. Is subsidy part of it? Like, is subsidy a remedy for tax evasion or something that was brought to lower the cost of living?
Wana burunja sana you fool. Wana burunja sana tukipatana you fool. Wana burunja sana tukipatana you fool.
Technically true. Get up in most of the roads.
The doc can now unmute and continue.
Hello? Am I
Yes, we are
heard?
getting you. Yes, we are getting you.
Yeah, somebody had asked a question. I don't know if the response given was satisfactory.
Yeah. It
Okay, thank
was.
you. Somebody
Hello,
wants
Doc.
ladies to talk. If they are not there, we don't know.
I didn't
Hello.
How do
get the response.
freelancers pay taxes? Who are freelancers?
Online workers.
Once you have
Freelance.
a PIN, you can pay by direct deposit to your account because you have a PIN number that you will use. You pay against the PIN number. But who gets the transaction costs? Am I sure it is not KRA? So if you are not sure, then I also don't know. You seem to know then.
Hello,
People are
Doc.
repeating the same question.
Hello, Doc.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
How does system of modern payment of e-citizen help in government tracing the taxes?
This is what mostly affects you.
Only
So
now.
income tax, as we say, this is what is levied on the person.
Okay, but this is hard boiled kama Titan here. Denzel kati chini na usikize kwa makini ukipata hii tena utajua.
Klasi imeisha, mtoke huku.
Good morning, good morning. Habari yako?
Mzuri. Saseni.
Habari yako?
Mzuri.
Habari.
Mzuri.
Kwanza nataka kunipeleka ICU manzi. Na hizo sauti.
Mwende WhatsApp bwana.
Kwani kumekuwa na class?
Majamani iko single bwana.
Nakuwa na tamba. I'm going to mute all of you.
That's none of the business.
Mtu ajipe.
Please.
Wewe jamaa nyinyi.
Nini wewe?
Wewe jamaa.
Kwani class imeenda wapi?
Nitapeleka siku class yangu.
Wewe bwana
kwani nitapeleka kwa baba. Siku class yangu.
Na wanawake mnaingia hadi swali imeisha.
Wewe toa hiyo.
Wacha wangoje warasha watawapigia.
Unauliza maswali hadi roka anatoroka bwana.
Ni wanaume tu
wanaendelea bila power.
Sasa mswali gani hizo mnauliza? Swali unauliza hata hizi kuja kwa exam.
Ngoja bana. Ona wangapi ndio waliwatch game ya Arsenal jana?
Hawa ni watu waliuliza maswali kama ni lunch time ya lunch time.
Pesa juu wewe.
Hao ndio watu wengi
walipeana jana.
Nani?
Yeah, ni mimi. Leo kijana.
Unaniambia nani ndiye alifungia na
unaleta nani?
Ni mabaya alafu nikupee 200 saa hii. Unaniambia ni nani ndiye alifungia na Fulls mabao alafu
Arsenal wameachilia kikombe. Calaviori
Wolves inapiga kamba.
Mambo ya Arsenal mwache hapa.
Haya haya. Let's proceed.
Lakini nyinyi
Let's
si watu
proceed.
wazuri wala.
Haya, gentlemen, let's proceed.
Anaingia na kwa klasi akiwa uchi. Oya, cheki. Oya, cheki.
Silence, please, silence. This is my class.
Unamliona yule jamaa mwenye aliingia na kwa klasi akiwa
Silence.
Ule anaitwa Lucky Boy bueno. Ule anaitwa Lucky Boy bueno.
Anaona jamaa mwenye aliingia kwa klasi akiwa uchi.
Wewe kijana. This is my class.
Jamani nimewambia niko single bana. Nitafutia hata mtu.
I've said everybody silent.
Oya, cheki. Oya.
Silent.
Ni mbaya.
Nitatoa mtu huku nyamazeni, nitatoa mtu huku.
Oya, unakuliana ule jamaa mwenye alinini baanze na kwa klasi akiwa uchi. Unaona mwenye dawa kwa vida. Unajua alifanyiwa nini?
Arsenal oye. Oye.
Arsenal oye.
Nataka dawa.
Wewe ni jana.
Ninamsuria ni watu la jamaa na kitu alifanyiwa.
Hizi ndo laana.
Arsenal iko na laana. Waende kwa mganga.
Oya. Halo.
Lakini fani Arsenal.
Kawe mtu Arsenal.
Oza, si wacho ufanye.
Wewe bana. Toa kitu.
Wazalo.
Kaisi kajira.
Wazalo.
Daro imeisha.
Wazalo. Ona simsikie basi niongee basi na mimi niende.
Lakini imeisha.
Oya Viki wewe. Oya Viki, acha hivyo na niwaambie na kitu moja.
Unatuambiaje?
Ati?
Nakwara me lecture. Kusana kwara me lecture.
Wazalo.
Nini?
Arsenal imeenda.
Euphoria.
Arsenal imeenda.
Arsenal kichwa.
Manu ndio kichwa.
Arsenal kichwa.
Manu ndio kichwa.
Labda wafungwe kichwa.
Satu negara sendiri lagi. Tena rasa mengasa.
Manu ndio kichwa.
Kama bado una betingi na kichwa shauri yako.
Unaweza kuume. Sasa imekwenda.
Johnny go. You know more about tomato valley. Mbali. Johnny go.
Oya majamaa. Niko na swali. Bati. Niko na swali.
Huyu anataka nini?
Niko na swali.
Swali sema.
Swalisha.
Lecture imeisha ama? Lecture imeisha ama bado?
Ulikuja hapa pass time sasa.
Ndio nimeamka saa hii.
Wewe sasa umekuja kupass time.
Tusome system of linear equation hapo.
Oya, simu ni kitu bana.
Baada haijaanza.
Usishie.
Niko serious.
Baada haijaanza.
Kale hii. Mi lesson anan mami.
Galane.
Mi lesson anan aga bounce.
Aga bounce.
Ng'ombe. Aga bounce.
Bounce lagi
Bounceishwa.
Enggak. Mi lesson.
Imechailia.
Bano balalosi avina vina.
Nacho.
Semu tumini oso ngobole kichara ashike notice buganyu.
Ale. Hiyo ni lugha. Hapo chonjo.
Mi chonjo.
Uli chonjo.
Pegoro na Jakin dancer. Ano mo ako gusto. Mia. Sis.
Oh, simu ulera kwa bai.
Bolo mugwa soso yara. Gale waje gelel.
Lemego sisio.
Mulera mnoko baali yokos. Ne jamu kuza.
Maendo kupo mundu.
Wewe nono. Bajinga bano balolosi ya bintu sino.
Amajele minde tagenge araba. Amajele minde tagenge araba.
Finish it.
Chumba.
Agale bazile bali ya ulosi yo.
Wewe waje bakodio.
Enya uko bikire wewe.
Wan. Varie.
Kuna fulani kuito mpito. Ati Arsenal walishinda?
Arsenal sio kiatu iko maki michinga.
Tena labda washinde bali.
Abebe kuomba chai.
Bali benginya kalisione tanga na ndikiria sana. Ya tena ndifaa kanywe ndio.
Bali wale era kana vile defense.
Hiyo ni basi labda bali.
Kaja mgoli.
Na nyukazi.
Na nyukazi manya sio yan.
Ini awe yes.
Today's lesson kinatike Nandia.
Wasenya no mulire kuna baminya stroke.
Nandia gogaso.
Una baminya.
Baminya lenje suragunga.
Pangalinge ako.
Kumele.
Ewe, wasiishie as I'm pumping knowledge to your empty mind.
Kwani kuna mtu akamboka kwa soko na?
Bado mimi nataka kwenda shule sasa.
Halo. Ngoma inabure ngoma.
Pokoknya bukan, pokoknya bekerja.
Wazo. Gak ngoma. Kamu jadi kenapa? Dosa begitu deh. Bismillah kan. Macam usia ni wajib dua kali lebaran.
Miro kaki lori manager sio majijo namba ni jambo bado kulisha plus na plus chugo tuliwo ina mo
Halo.
Gai, kwani kwa group peke yangu?
labda
Malaika.
Class peke yangu ama
Nakupenda malaika. Malaika.
wasala
Tendo la Bwana. Ndio kwa nini?
Nakupenda malaika.
Limenibadilisha, limenifanya upya.
Kita tahu grup.
WhatsApp
ada dua grup.
Inabidi nisame na ili nisonge mbele, ninabidi nisahau.
Bila power. Lazima tupate.
I wish you could.
Attention. Halo. Dogo kwana.
Naibaki.
Attention.
acha niachie tu hapo.
Nobelamo.
Tuendelee.
tukiwazana tumerudi tumebarikiwa,
Uganda yahoo. Twende.
wakiwazana wamerudi
Vijana wenye sura nzuri, vijana wenye sura nzuri, ya kutosha.
Bwana nilibisa chimwanda nikanikuta, nimeinama, imenibadilisha, nimenifanya upya. Enda jana na hili lisamehe, inabidi nisamehe na ili lisonge mbele, linabidi
Ama tuachie wale wa talents sasa watusho.
I wish you good. I wish you good. I wish you good. I wish you good.
Can the class rep, one of the class rep reach out to the lecturer, kindly? If we have a class rep here, let a class rep reach out to the lecturer to see if we are still continuing the class or we call it off.
Kaka sogea. Anani sogea. Magdi. McDonald's.
Si Magdi.
Nyamazi.
Walimakitiza.
Ameleta hapa ubukusu. Unajua huyu ameleta hapa ubukusu sasa.
Enos.
Hata tukufikisha. Ilikuwa 17.
Wewe mtulie bana.
Yeah, so I have seen. Let me mute everyone. The LEC has just communicated through the WhatsApp of the class rep that he has visitors. So he's asking we adjourn the lesson up to next week. Meanwhile, enroll to the course and access the content. Today we have learned about taxation, and the content is available on the e-learning. So go log into the e-learning and enroll to that course to access the content. For those who missed up, you can follow that YouTube link that I posted in the group so that you use it as a revision. Yeah, so kindly log into the e-learning, access the content as we revise and also as we go through what we have been taught today. I think last time I showed you how to use an app to access the e-learning so that you can download the notes. If you can go back to the YouTube recording of last week. No, I cannot repeat that. Maybe I will just create a tutorial. Maybe let me find time, create a tutorial on how you can use the app so that you can download the course and read the content offline without internet connection. So maybe I will get time and maybe just create a short video and share with you. So have a nice Thursday.